Come join us for a Nats Chat hangout at Walters just before the All-Star break Wednesday, July 8th, before the Nationals host the Astros. Come chat about Foster Griffin, Curtis Mead, PJ Poulin, and wish Jeremy, the owner of Walters, a happy birthday. Walters is located just across the street from the ballpark.
Hi, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. Are you looking for a beach read this summer? May I suggest your big wireless bill? It's got suspense, mystery, a slightly flat, emotional arc, and a shocking twist where you realize you've been overpaying the entire time. Fortunately, though, Mint's story is better. Every plan, $15 a month. Even unlimited. That's it. Happy ending. Zero tears. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
Andrew Alvarez delivers, swinging a line drive into right field, a base hit. DeCenzo scores from third. Allen heads for third, and the throw will go in from James Wood towards second base. Christian Vasquez jumps on the first pitch with a line drive single down the right field line, scoring Zach DeCenzo with run number 5. Houston now leading 5-2.
Bases loaded, 2 outs, 2-2 count. Hader to the belt. Here it comes. Swing and a miss. He struck him out, and the Astros win. Cruz chased a fastball up and outside, and Josh Hader gets his 10th save. And the Astros hold off a late Nationals rally as Josh Hader strikes out Cruz with the bases loaded to end the ball game.
You know, anytime your name's called, you got to be ready for it. And, you know, I was ready, just wasn't my time.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. I'm joined by Washington Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman of NatsJournal.com. He's at Nationals Park. So the Nats this season, of course, have done so many good things. But among the good things that the Nats have not done is notch a walk-off win. The Nats on Tuesday evening had a good chance to change that, but unfortunately did not change that. A 6-3 loss to the Houston Astros at Nationals Park on Tuesday evening in Game 2 of a 3-game series. The Nats in MLB's 2026 regular season fall to 47-46 with a run differential of +7. The Astros now are at 46-48 with a run differential of -42. Join us for a Nats Chat meetup at the home base of Nats Chat Walter Sports Bar, which is right by Nationals Park. The creator, owner, and executive producer of this podcast, the great Tim Shovers, he is holding a meetup for Nats Chat listeners at Walters on Wednesday at 5 p.m. to pregame for Nats Astros at Nationals Park at 6:45. Join us to talk Nats and enjoy the outstanding food, drink, and environment at Walters. Visit waltersdc.com. Coming up later in the show, a report from Jim Callis, senior writer for MLB Pipeline, on 5 collegiate position players who the Nats realistically could take with their number 11 overall pick in the 2026 MLB draft, which is taking place over this Saturday and Sunday, is taking place at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Philadelphia. And the first round starts on Saturday afternoon at 1. Note that we in recent years have become accustomed to the draft starting on a Sunday evening. This year, the draft starting on a Saturday and in the afternoon hour starting this Saturday afternoon at 1. So, man, what a frustrating game for the Nats offensively on Tuesday evening. 3 runs despite totaling 11 hits and working 4 walks. The 11 hits were 2 homers, a double, and 8 singles. The Nats were supremely patient at the plate, drove up the Astros pitch count big time, but the Nats went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, struck out 10 times. And Mark, you left this game with a feeling of that Nats run total of 3 really should have been so much higher.
It should have. They had golden opportunities, I think. 1 inning in this game that they went down in order 1, 2, 3. Otherwise, they put a man on every single inning, and there were opportunities both against the Astros starter, Imai, who just racked up the pitches early on and got knocked out fairly early, but then also against the Astros bullpen late. And as you said, they did ultimately have a shot at a walk-off. That would have been a walk-off grand slam off Josh Hader, but Dylan Cruz was up there with a 2-0 count and a chance to do it and wound up striking out. And, I don't want to put the whole game on that one at bat because there were countless opportunities prior to that point. But the way that 9th inning was playing out, you did kind of think to yourself, maybe they have one of these in them. Not saying he was going to hit a walk-off grand slam, but if he can just extend that inning and keep it going, who knows? Maybe we would have had a yet another dramatic rally against Josh Hader in this ballpark, albeit the stakes a little lower for this one.
I don't know how that did not cross your mind as that bottom of the ninth inning was playing out. I don't know how you didn't think back to October 2019 in that spot. So, yeah, 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. No out with runners in scoring position was more painful than that final out. Dylan Crews as a pinch hitter striking out and facing the Astros closer Josh Hader. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Crews, since being recalled from AAA-Rochester on May 19th, has 37 strikeouts versus 8 walks. His OPS over that stretch is .648. Batting average of just .225, on base percentage of just .279, slugging percentage of just .369. We have said that we're not going to treat every game or every series or every week as a referendum on Dylan Crews. That said, we have not talked Dylan Crews in a while. He was up in a prominent spot in this game. How would you evaluate what we have seen from Dylan Crews in this latest stint at the major league level?
I think, to me, the most disappointing stat that you just outlined there is the on-base percentage, because he does not draw walks. And the reputation coming in was that he did put together good at-bats and was patient and could just get himself on base. So I actually think that's the one that stands out the most. He has hit the ball hard a lot. Early on, had very little to show for it. I do believe that more recently, he has finally seen those hard hit balls turn into hits. Now, maybe he's cooled off again more recently, but I think the approach and the contact, the quality of contact has been pretty good. I think it's the tendency to chase outside the zone is probably the number one issue there. And you saw it in that last at bat. He actually gets ahead in the count 2-0, doesn't get too swing happy, gets himself into a good count, and actually got a 2-0 pitch right over the heart of the plate, and he just missed it. He fouled it off. He's been crushing balls in that zone right over the plate when he gets them. In this case, he didn't. And then what happened once he fouled that one off? Now he started to chase, and he went after a couple of high fastballs, including the last one from Hader that was well outside the zone. So if he can perfect anything, to me, I think it's that, a little more patience, a little less jumpy, especially when you get into a good count in a situation like that. Try to work some walks in there somehow, because we do know that when he gets something over the plate, he does tend to hit it hard, and over time, that's going to result in plenty of hits if he does that.
The Nats so had the Astros on the ropes in that bottom of the ninth, and seeing Crews in that spot up with the bases loaded and having, as we call in the trade, count leverage, 2-0 count, and it ends up being a strikeout. Just disappointing to see that plate appearance play out that way. There was another big out by the Nats in the latter innings of this game. Nasim Nuñez was the Nats starting shortstop and number 7 batter. CJ Abrams was the DH for this game. Nuñez went 2 for 4 with a couple of singles. Bottom of the 8th, had a 2-out first pitch infield single to the right side of the infield, but he got thrown out in an attempted steal of second base for the 3rd out with the Nats down 6-2.
And now he deals, runner goes, pitches outside, the throw by Vasquez. The tag is there for the out. Almost looked like a pitch out. Vasquez up and throwing, and Nuñez caught stealing for just the 4th time this season.
That's a no-no, getting thrown out on an attempted steal in a spot like that. Now, of course, Nasim Nuñez has been awesome when it comes to stolen bases. Even with that out, he for this regular season is 33 for 37 on stolen bases. But man, was that a bad out there.
And just situational awareness. That's all that is. If it's a close game, 2-run game, yeah, that's worth the gamble because he has been good at it overall. But down 4 with 2 outs, probably not worth the risk in that case. I think he's probably a victim of his own success, that he just believes he can do it anytime he wants, and that's not always true. You're not going to be 100% all the time. And so I think it's just understanding the risks, when it's worth the gamble, when it's not. In that spot, down as many runs as they were, I don't think it was really worth it. I can point to a number of things over the later innings of the game that things could have gone differently for them. I'm looking at an inning earlier in the 7th. 2 outs, runner on second, C.J. Abrams at the plate. He hits a ground ball to the right side, and from my vantage point, it looked like he didn't really bust it out of the box. Well, the Astros reliever didn't immediately go to cover first either. Abrams realizes that, and then he turns it on, and it was too late. He was thrown out. Now, according to Blake Butera, I think it was a broken bat, and I think his there was some pain like in his thumb from that swing on the broken bat. So it like almost took a second for him to shake that off and then continue.
Yeah, I think he just got beat on an inside fastball and broke his bat and felt his thumb a little bit. And I think he just didn't realize it was going to be that close.
But it still looked like he had given up on the play and didn't realize until it was too late that he should have been busting it. Might have had a chance to beat that out, keep that inning going. And then there are 2 strikeouts by Andres Chaparro in the late innings, one in the 7th, one in the 9th. And this was yet another example of Butera pinch hitting Chaparro for Luis Garcia, who's been one of the hottest hitters on the planet. Now, in the 7th inning, they're facing a lefty. And you saw Garcia get to face a lefty earlier in the game, actually, and he popped up. So maybe that was his one shot to prove something. He didn't get a second shot. My only issue with pinch hitting there in the 7th is it's 1 out, nobody on, you're down 4 runs. Is it going to make that much difference having Chaparro, who, even if he was great against lefties, I don't know that it makes that much difference because you know that spot's going to come up again before the game's over. And sure enough, it did. And in this case, it was against a right-hander before the Astros went to Hader. Who knows how that plays out otherwise? But Chaparro against the lefty strikes out again. So he ends up going 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts in the late innings of a game in which you were just hoping for better results than that. And I know he homered in Boston the other day, but there's still a whole lot more evidence of at-bats that have not gone well when he's been up there. And he had 2 of them in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Chaparro at the major league level here, he has an OPS of 581 for the regular season. And, just think about it from a basic standpoint of if you are the opposing team and the Nats pinch hit Andres Chaparro for the white-hot Luis Garcia Jr., no matter the matchup in terms of righty-lefty, lefty-righty, you're happy as the opposing team. Garcia is out of the game. You are doing the opposing team a favor at this point when you take Garcia out of the game, no doubt. Al Galdi here to tell you about Window Nation. But before that, the Window Nation look into the future.
2-0 pitch is crushed out to right field. Patrick Lee gives it a look. That ball is over the netting. And this game is tied at 1 in the top of the 7th.
Leandro Pineda got a pitch over the middle of the plate, and he did not miss it.
Hey, Al Galdi here for Window Nation. If you're using chat to research your next home improvement project, forget the prompts. We've got all the details on a company that you can trust. For replacement windows and doors without the hassle, just look up Window Nation. Window Nation is the real deal. Homeowners across the country love the one-day installation process, especially since Window Nation installers leave your home cleaner than when they started. And this month, you can get 50% off all window styles, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and no payments for 2 years. That's a lot of savings on top of quality windows and doors. 866-90NATION or windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. And did I mention that Window Nation backs each window with a lifetime transferable warranty? That's on top of team members double and triple checking their work from initial measurements to final installation. Reach out to Window Nation to get the windows featured on HGTV's Designing Spaces. And don't forget, this month, you can save 50% on all window styles, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and no payments until 2028. Get a free quote at windownation.com. 866-90NATION or windownation.com. Window Nation, the real deal when it comes to replacement windows and doors. 866-90NATION, windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
Imagine buying your kid a toy only to find the batteries aren't included, or buying furniture but missing the tools to build it. Frustrating, right? Now imagine the exact same feeling, but you're paying way more. That is what buying business software usually feels like. Fragmented, disconnected, and incredibly expensive. Odoo completely changes that. Odoo is a complete, fully integrated business suite where all your apps actually talk to each other. We're talking automated lead routing for your sales team, seamless AI integration, and intuitive point-and-click website builder. It's everything your business needs to scale, saving you time, headaches, and money. Stop piecing your software together. Go to odoo.com. That's ODOO.com to learn more.
Amai with a hesitation windup. Swings the leg and fires. And a swing and a long drive. Right field. Way back it goes. And another leadoff home run for James Wood. 8 rows deep into the seats over the center field scoreboard. And the Nationals won. The Astros nothing. Home run number 25 for Wood. Leadoff home run number 8. On the second pitch from Amai. A no-doubter.
The Nats hit 2 homers in this game, as mentioned. One of them was by James Wood, and again in a first inning. It is amazing the run that Wood is on right now, especially as it relates to first innings. Wood was the Nats starting right fielder and number 1 batter, 2 for 4 with a solo homer, a single, and a walk. He and the Nats 1 run first, had a leadoff homer to right center field for a 1-0 Nats lead. The homer went a projected 419 feet per Statcast. So James Wood officially is back to being on fire. He now is at 25 homers and an OPS of 949. And his first inning OPS now is at 1,069. He has 8 first inning home runs. It feels like he has more. I wonder, and I'm serious when I say this, if at some point he has the number 1 batter gets intentionally walked in a first inning. I'm serious about that. I wonder if at some point a manager says to his pitcher, just intentionally walk Wood. We're not going to let this guy do us dirty in a first inning. We know the Nats overall have been so good in first innings. I wonder if we're getting to that point with Wood, with how productive he has been in these first innings.
Well, has it ever happened to Kyle Schwarber? Because he'd be a comparable type of player. I don't think I've seen that to start the game. That would be quite the unconventional move. It's too bad Buck Showalter isn't still managing somewhere, because if anybody would, this is the guy who walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded once and lived to tell about it. Yeah, that would be it. But I think it was telling that after the first inning homer, Wood leads off the third inning, and Imai threw him 4 straight balls. Now, it wasn't intentional, but it might have been one of those intentional walks. And that said, the Astros learned their lesson. Don't give this guy anything to hit unless you have to. Remember that slump that he was in about a week ago? It's long gone. He's been on fire since then. And the best part of that is, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's drawing like twice as many walks as he is striking out. Striking out like once every 2 games over the last week instead of multiple times per game as he was. That's huge for him. If he can turn walks into strikeouts and then also combine that with all the home runs and everything else that he does, that's when you know he is really locked in.
He is at 74 walks. The next highest total on the Nats is C.J. Abrams, 33. He has more than double the amount of walks as the next highest total, to put into perspective the extent to which he's drawing walks. And he has a 400 on base. He has a 549 slugging. So James Wood doing just fine right now. The Nats' other home run in this game came from Jose Tena. We talked Nats pinch hitting a few minutes earlier. Tena in the Nats' 1-run ninth had a pinch one-out solo homer to right center to cut the Nats deficit to 6-3, despite having been down at 1.12. Luis Garcia Jr. as the Nats starting first baseman and number 2 batter, 2 for 3 with 2 singles. Curtis Mead as the Nats starting third baseman and number 3 batter, 2 for 5 with a double and a single. So the offense in this game really wasn't bad. I mean, like I said, 11 hits, 4 walks, just a lot of strikeouts and just not coming through in the big spot. You come through once or twice in a big spot, and that run total of 3 looks a whole lot nicer. You know, you're talking about a run total of like 5 or 6. So the difference between a high run output and a modest run output can be just, 1 or 2 plate appearances.
And I think this lineup has earned the right to have an off night. I don't think I'm going to read too much into one rough game like that, because they have been so good over the course of the season. And it's unfortunate that it happened, because this was a game that was there for the taking, but it's not going to be there for you every night. We've talked about the pinch hitting decisions that haven't worked for Butera. I suppose we do have to give credit for Tena pinch hitting for Young. That did turn into a home run that got that 9th inning rally started. Good for him on that. But yeah, it just, I don't know. They were one hit away all night from making this thing super interesting. For one reason or other, they just could not get it.
The Nats starting pitcher in this 6-3 loss to the Astros at Nationals Park on Tuesday evening was Andrew Alvarez. A disappointing outing for him. 5 runs in 5 2/3 innings. He gave up just 4 hits, all of which were singles, but he issued 5 walks and a hit by pitch, recorded 3 strikeouts, 97 pitches, 55 strikes, 42 balls. Top of the second, allowed a run on a hit by pitch, a walk, a single, and a sac fly. Top of the fourth, allowed 3 runs on 2 singles, 2 walks, and a sac fly. Top of the sixth, allowed a run on 2 walks and a single. He overall has been good, but a nit to pick would be that he puts guys on base. His ERA is at 3.64, but the whip is at 1.40. His walks per 9 innings at 4.02. And obviously, the walk a problem in this game. 5 walks to go with the hit by pitch over 5 2/3 innings.
And that's what bothered Blake Butera more than anything else. He said he only gave up 4 hits across 5 2/3. You do that, you should be fine. But when you walk 5 and hit a batter on top of that, you don't deserve to win the game. That's Blake Butera's words, not my words.
I think you have 4 hits over 5 2/3. Like, 4 hits aren't going to beat us. When we're walking 5 and then you add the 4 hits, like that's where we're going to run into trouble. And honestly, we don't deserve to win if we're going to walk that many guys.
And there was definitely some frustration there. He felt like Alvarez just was not trusting that his stuff is good enough to get big league hitters out. And the thing is, we have seen him more often than not have the stuff to get big league hitters out. And for whatever reason, he wasn't feeling it in this game. He got, a little gun shy of going after them. The pitch that Butera, that really stood out to him, he's got Cam Smith with a 3-0 count in the 4th inning, and he threw him a breaking ball. As Butera said, that looks like a guy pitching scared. Why aren't you throwing a fastball there?
We have to keep telling him his stuff's really good, that almost like let them hit it, like attack these guys, make them swing the bats.
So there were actually some pointed words from the manager towards Alvarez, and we get it. We understand this is not an overpowering pitcher who has blow you away kind of stuff, but the numbers speak for themselves. As we've discussed, this stuff has been good enough to be successful, and it's been good enough to get strikeouts at this level. You can't do that, though, if you're not giving yourself a chance. When you walk 5 batters, that's what's going to happen. Now, they let him go deeper in the game than we've seen from him. There have been nights when he's pitched much better than this, and they've pulled him after 4 innings or just 2 times through the lineup. Because they were trailing, because the state of the bullpen is what it is, they actually let him keep going, and it didn't go great for him in the 6th inning. But I think really more than anything else, they were just more frustrated at the walks earlier in the game that dug them into the hole.
Yeah, second time in recent weeks, Blake Butera has talked about a Nats pitcher or Nats pitchers pitching scared. Remember, not too long ago, Butera talking about Nats relievers pitching scared.
2-2 pitch. And a fly ball deep left center field. Lyle back to the warning track to the wall, and it's gone. It is caught on the bullpen mound by the pitcher warming up, Abreu. It's a home run for Altuve, and the Astros lead it 6-2. That's his 2nd homer of the series and his 10th of the year.
Nats relievers in this game overall did do a good job. 4 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run in 3 1/3 innings. Justin Lawrence retired, the only batter he faced. He came into the game in the top of the 6th with runners at the corners, 2 outs, and the Nats down 5-2, generated a cold strikeout of the Astros' number 1 batter, Jose Altuve. Matt Crook made his Nats debut. Yes, the long-anticipated Nats debut of Matt Crook happened. He tossed 2/3 of a scoreless inning, but he, in the top of the 7th, faced 5 batters in getting those 2 outs. He gave up a single and issued a walk into hit by pitch. Matt Crook, the guy who the Nats this past Saturday afternoon claimed off outright waivers from the Athletics. We had Riley Cornelio pitching in this game. We saw the best of him and, shall we say, the not best of him in this game. So 1 run in 1 1/3 innings with 3 strikeouts, which came over the first 3 batters he faced. Cornelio has good stuff, and we saw that stuff on display over those 3 strikeouts, including a big strikeout. He came into the game in the top of the 7th with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and the Nats down 5-2, generated a swinging strikeout of Bryce Matthews, but Cornelio in the top of the 8th allowed a run on a 2-out solo homer by Jose Altuve to left center field for a 6-2 Astros lead, and Carson Palmquist tossed a scoreless and hitless top of the 9th. Did you give Matt Crook a big hug upon seeing him in the Nats clubhouse prior to the game?
I did not, but I was, and my colleagues were interested in hearing about his long trek from Sacramento, and he acknowledged it, took a little while to get here. This guy's been around the block. He's 31 years old. He's pitched for several teams. There's some weird connections here. He grew up in San Francisco and went to the same high school as Paul Taboni. Not at the same time, but he knows members of the Taboni family. He also, at one point, is in the Rays minor league system. He didn't cross paths with Blake Butera directly, but he's certainly aware of him, and they saw each other in spring training. So he actually walked in here kind of knowing people. He was in the Yankees organization at one point, played with Chaparro when he was there, and Clayton Beater. So he actually felt kind of comfortable walking in after that long, 3-day stagecoach trek from Sacramento to D.C. Now, as far as how he pitched, we kind of saw a little bit of what has led to him moving around as much as he has. Lack of command, a walk, a hit batter, a lot of pitches. I want to talk about Riley Cornelio, though. That was a huge spot they threw him in. Bases loaded, 2 outs in the 7th. And we have seen this kid, in the limited time that he's been here, not always be ready for that kind of moment. He came out throwing strikes. His slider was fantastic. He struck out Bryce Matthews to end that inning, comes back the next inning and struck out the next 2 batters. Now, yes, he gave up the home run to Altuve, but as Butera described it, solo homer to Altuve, you'll live with that. They were much more pleased, as opposed to Alvarez, who they were pleading with to trust his stuff and throw strikes. That message has been delivered to Cornelio as well. They really liked that he went out there and did that in this game, aggressively attacking the strike zone, trusting that his stuff was good enough. He throws upper 90s with a sharp breaking ball. If he throws it anywhere near the plate, he's going to have success, and it was nice to see him do that in this game.
He needed that. He needed that in the worst way because it has been a rough watch with him so far. So good for him for doing that, and more of that, please. But the stuff plays. I mean, there's no question about that. Also regarding Nats relief pitching, how about manager Blake Butera prior to this game? He took the blame for what happened with reliever Cole Henry on Monday evening. So as we discussed on the previous installment of the podcast, Henry in the Nats 12-11 win over the Astros at Nationals Park on Monday evening allowed 4 runs in 1 2/3 innings. He tossed a perfect top of the 7th with 2 swinging strikeouts, but he in the top of the 8th allowed 4 runs, including giving up a 2-out, 3-run homer by Bryce Matthews. The Nats on Monday afternoon had announced having recalled Henry from AAA-Rochester. The Nats late night on Monday night announced having optioned Henry back to AAA-Rochester. And what happened with him in that game on Monday evening, as we talked about, not the first time that we've seen a Nats relief pitcher in an appearance this season do well in an initial inning, but then struggle in being asked to go beyond that inning. So with all of that as the backdrop, we had this with Blake Butera during his pregame session with reporters on Tuesday afternoon.
I will 100% wear Cole Henry's poor second inning last night. I think, to be very transparent, and truthful, I think we did Cole a disservice because we didn't have him throw multiple innings in AAA. And a lot of times when we bring players up from AAA, it's because our bullpen's thin, and we're going to need them to throw multiple innings.
All right. So, Mark, you were there for that. Really interesting to hear Blake Butera say all of that. I have some things I want to bring up off what he said, but just from a general standpoint, what did you think about Blake Butera saying what he said there?
I was glad to hear him say it. Unfortunately, you hate to have that have to be after the fact. You would have wished that there was an acknowledgement of some of these things previously so that it never got to that, where you weren't putting a guy like Cole Henry in that situation, or the others that he mentioned as well who have been in that same spot here lately. I looked up Henry's appearances, both Major League and Minor League, this year. He had only pitched more than 1 inning once at Rochester. He had only topped the 25 pitch mark once in Rochester. Now compare that to the big leagues. 11 Major League appearances. In 5 of them, he's gone more than 1 inning. And in each of those games, he had thrown, I believe it was 30 or more pitches and topped 40 twice. This is not a guy who has been asked to do that or prepped properly to do that, and we've seen what the results are. Now, Butera explained why, when they call a guy up, they're going to need him to be able to do that, but I don't think it's fair to ask them to do that if you haven't already prepared them for it at the minor league level. And so it was a little concerning to me that for an organization that has talked so much about continuity up and down and how they want everything they're doing at AAA to mirror what they're doing in the big league level, the fact that that message hadn't gotten through yet and that they have not been using guys in a way that they're then going to be expected to be used in the major leagues. I thought that was pretty disappointing and surprising, to be honest, that somebody, and I'm not saying that's all on Butera, but organizationally that had not been conveyed. I didn't like that.
So that ties into what I wanted to highlight here, okay? And I'm going to emphasize the pronoun usage by Blake Butera in a specific portion of what he said to you guys on Tuesday afternoon. Quote, "Look, I will 100% wear Cole Henry's poor second inning last night. To be very transparent and truthful, I think we did Cole a disservice because we didn't have him throw multiple innings at AAA. But a lot of times when we bring a player up from AAA, it's because our bullpen's thin and we are going to need them to throw multiple innings," end quote. I do wonder if an underlying message via what he was saying was that the Nats as an organization need to do a better job of preparing AAA relievers for throwing multiple innings in appearances. And to what you were just talking about, the idea of, hey, I'm managing the way I need to manage, the way I think you guys want me to manage, but you need to prep these guys better. I think, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, but maybe not, he used we off using I.
Transparent, and truthful. I think we did Cole a disservice because we didn't have him throw multiple innings in AAA.
The idea being we, the idea being, Paul Taboni and the rest of baseball ops or minor league managers or whoever you might think he was specifically referring to. That stood out to me, that off initially saying I, we got a bunch of we's from Blake Butera.
Yeah, I don't know if there's more to read into that or not. A lot of times people in charge of organizations just use the we to describe a lot of things. But I think it's clear that he has an idea of how he believes certain relievers should be used. And the question is, organizationally, are they all on the same page for that? Now, yes, some circumstances had happened over the last few days that left him without a lot of other options. And so maybe he didn't feel like he could hold Henry to one inning. But we've seen this with other guys as well. I feel like it happened 3-4 times in the last week where somebody came in and looked really good for one inning, was sent back out there, and then not just struggled the next inning, but really struggled and turned a game very south for them, whether that was blowing a lead or expanding a deficit or whatever it might have been. And so I do think that is something that speaks to a larger issue for the organization of how are they not on the same page to make sure that everybody is properly prepared when they come up here. Now, the flip side of this may be, and I'm just talking about Cole Henry in particular, but it could apply to others as well, maybe he just is a one-inning reliever. What we saw of him last year, remember, this is a starter in the minors who had thoracic outlet surgery, couldn't really make it back from that. They turned him into a reliever and had some success last year as a late-inning, one-inning, high-leverage guy. And then this spring he came in, and it was clear that they just did not view him that way. And I outlined the numbers. Half of his appearances here have been multiple innings, and not just that, but 30-plus pitches. So clearly, whoever's calling the shots here in the big leagues believes that's who he is, but maybe that's not who he is. Maybe he is a one-inning guy. And so I would hope that as they all discuss these things, both with him but with everybody in the organization, that they're all on the same page as far as player X, what do we believe he is? What do we believe he's capable of? And let's make sure we're all on the same page with that and not trying to make him into something that we don't actually believe he is.
Yeah, and there's also the thing of how good are these guys, period, right? If these relievers were better, I don't think a lot of the conversations that we keep having about the bullpen and the management of the relief pitching core are happening. These guys would just be stepping up and getting outs, and it just, it hasn't happened with any kind of regularity here. So, but interesting to hear Blake Butera say what he said, and interesting to hear how he said what he said.
Feel your best and amplify your everyday look with Thrive Causemetics. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
Playing Marsh the opposite way in the outfield to pull in the infield. Now the kick and the pitch. Swing and a miss and a fastball. He struck him out. And Foster Griffin strikes out the side in the top of the fourth inning. Strikeouts 5, 6, and 7.
Game 3 for the Nats against the Astros at Nationals Park Wednesday evening at 6:45. The Nats have listed Foster Griffin as their probable starting pitcher for the game. And speaking of Foster Griffin, so as we have discussed, and I said we, not I, as we have discussed, he is worthy of being on the 2026 National League All-Star team. But MLB on Tuesday evening announced 3 replacements for starting pitchers on the NL All-Star team, and Griffin was not among the replacements. The replacements were Philadelphia Phillies starting pitcher and former Nats prospect Jesus Luzardo, Pittsburgh Pirates starting pitcher Braxton Ashcraft, and St. Louis Cardinals closer Riley O'Brien. I submit to you the following. Foster Griffin, as of games through Monday, had outperformed Luzardo and Ashcraft in each of the following categories: wins above replacement per Baseball Reference, ERA, ERA plus, and win probability added per Baseball Reference. 4 prominent statistical categories for starting pitchers. Foster Griffin greater than sign Jesus Luzardo and Braxton Ashcraft, and yet Luzardo and Ashcraft are all-stars, and Griffin, at least so far, is not. I don't quite get why Foster Griffin still is not an all-star. Maybe that will change at some point soon here, but disappointing that he was not announced as one of those replacements on Tuesday evening.
Disappointing for sure. Let me run through them a little bit because I think there is some explanation for all of them. Ashcraft is essentially replacing Paul Skeens, who is starting Sunday's game for the Pirates. Skeens was the Pirates' only representative. So somebody has to represent the team. Ashcraft, while maybe not as good as Griffin, did have good numbers this year and arguably should have made the team over Skeens to begin with. I know Skeens has the name recognition, but he has not pitched nearly as well here of late. So I don't have a problem with that because that's essentially one teammate replacing another and a guy who arguably had a strong case anyways. O'Brien, it's a little bit different because he's a closer. He's got the league leading 22 saves, Al, and that probably trumps everything else because the other stats, not so great. I don't know how much they care about relievers versus starters. If they do, I suppose that maybe had something to do with it. I think it really boils down to Luzardo versus Griffin. They're both left-handers. Griffin has better numbers than him. What's the deciding factor there? Is it that the game is being played in Philadelphia and Luzardo pitches for the Phillies? There's a little bit of hometown cooking there and rewarding the player from the team who is hosting the game. Now, they could also say Phillies versus Nationals. Phillies more high profile. They are in playoff position. The Nationals are not. Luzardo's, this is a long time coming for him. He's drafted by the Nats way back when, traded many years ago, bounced around, finally an all-star for the first time. Good for him. But head-to-head, yes, Griffin probably deserves it over him, and I just wonder if this boiled down to Philly versus National game being played at Citizens Bank Park. Now, I will also say there are still opportunities for more changes, so it may still happen at some point, but I do think there's a case for Griffin over Luzardo, yes.
Also being added to the All-Star rosters on Tuesday was Boston Red Sox first baseman Wilson Contreras, so we did have that as well. But, what happened here with Foster Griffin, at least not yet being added to the NL All-Star team, it is a reminder of you can't take this stuff too seriously. Like the All-Star game, it is entertainment. The idea that how many All-Star selections you have is actually truly meaningful for how good of a player you are. The idea of whether you are an All-Star is some sort of stamp for whether or not you're having a good season. Like, no, that's not really the case. It's a fun event. It's a good marketing tool for baseball, and I think that's as far as you go with it. You can't read too much into it. You can't take it too seriously. But we'll see. Maybe Foster Griffin does find his way into the All-Star game. You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our website, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast, and we leave you now with this report from Jim Callis, senior writer for MLB Pipeline, on 5 collegiate position players who the Nats realistically could take with their number 11 overall pick in the 2026 MLB Draft.
Chris Hacopian left field. This is why they're so glad to have him back. First hit, and it's gone, and it puts the Aggies on the board.
It's a little bit different, actually, a lot different for the Nationals in the first round of the draft this year. They're not picking number 1. They're picking 11th, so they're dependent on other teams to see who falls to them. The way this draft is shaping up, I don't think that there's going to be a high school pitcher who fits at 11. I don't think there's going to be a high school hitter who really fits at 11 unless the Nationals really push somebody up the board. And there's probably not going to be a college pitcher who fits. So I think by default, that leaves college hitters. I'm going to give you 5 guys who are a possibility right now for the Nats at number 11. I'm going to give them to you in the order we've ranked them on MLB Pipeline's recently released an updated top 150 prospects list. First is Sawyer Strohsnyder from Texas Christian. He's an outfielder, 6'2", 200. Some of the best all-around tools in the college class, huge raw power, chance to play center field. There's A.J. Gracia of Virginia, who's one of the more polished hitters in the college class, makes very good swing decisions and a lot of contact. It's more average power. He has a chance at center field, maybe, but probably more of a corner guy. Chris Hakopian of Texas A&M has some of the best hitting metrics. Some teams say the best hitting metrics in this draft. Very good bat-to-ball skills, very good zone control. It's probably average power. The position's a little bit of a question. You hope second base, it might be left field. Then there's Derek Curiel of Louisiana State. He started as a freshman on the College World Series Championship Club. Fluid left-handed swing. He's a very good hitter. The power has not come as hoped from scouts. It's probably more 12 to 15 homer power than 20 plus. He has helped his cause by showing he can play center field this season, though. And then the last name I want to throw at you is Ryder Helfrich, who's a catcher from Arkansas. He's the number 2 catcher in this draft behind Von Lackey from Georgia Tech. And Helfrich is better than Lackey defensively. He's a very advanced defender. He calls pitches, which is rare in the college game. He runs his staff well. It's plus arm strength. The receiving, the framing, the blocking skills are all there. He is a power over hit guy, but it might be 20 homer power. So there's 5 candidates for the Nationals at number 11.
It's back in front. A 1-2 is yanked. It's fair down the line. And around they go. This may clear the bases. 2-run score. Holmes is on his way to the plate. Gracia's got a bases-clearing triple.
Some days you want a little extra oomph to your usual look. Whether that's lashes for days with the Viral Liquid Lash Extensions mascara or awakening your eyes with a lasting lift and soft color with the Brilliant Eye Brightener, Thrive Causemetics is your go-to when you want to amplify your everyday look. Whether you want a simple, just got to get out of the door routine or full glam, you'll always look and feel like the best version of yourself with Thrive Causemetics. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin, not against it. And for every product purchased, Thrive Causemetics donates to help communities thrive. So every time you use your favorite Thrive Causemetics product, you're helping communities you care about, too. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.